So why is it called the Columbine effect if Columbine wasn't the first school shooting to happen like a lot of people think it was? And this commenter is absolutely right. A lot of people do not realize that Columbine wasn't the first school shooting. The first school shooting actually happened in the 1700s in the United States. It is the first one happened in the 1700s. And Columbine wasn't even the first one of 1999. And Columbine happened in April. So that means that there were more things that happened in the almost 4 months that happened at the end of April. In the almost 4 months before Columbine, something happened at other schools. The thing that makes Columbine stick out so much is that it was the first school shooting to happen that was really covered by the mass media in the 24/7 news cycle. This is where we were getting, massive information that was put out on the internet, because that's when the internet was, first out big, booming and popping. It was being covered by TV. What a lot of people don't realize nowadays is that TV used to turn off, and not like you would click your TV off like with a remote, you wouldn't just turn your TV off. TV channels would sign off. TV channels would not play 24/7. There wasn't always stuff going on. This is when we're starting to see the first 24/7 news cycle where there's always news going on. There's always TV. Someone's always putting on a rerun at night. There's something going on all the time on all the news networks. There were certain points at certain times of the night when TV channels would sign off and you would just see, snow every time that you turn on to that channel until they started up again in the morning. So Columbine was all over the internet because the internet was booming at that point. It was chat rooms. People were creating their own websites. The most reputable Columbine research website called A Columbine Site was literally put up within a day or two of Columbine happening. It was more of just a memorial for the victims and keeping up with stuff, and then it turned into something huge. And this website is still going on to this day and still being added to. The person who created that website has written a book that you can purchase. It's a whole thing. So because of that 24/7 news cycle, and just news becoming more global and universal, and you weren't just getting news from your area. You were getting news from all over the world. That was an option for you. It just traveled so much more. And because that really traveled so much more, and it was the first one that was covered in this 24/7 news cycle, I swear to God, take a shot every time I say 24/7 news cycle. Just kidding. Don't. You'll die. It gained a lot more attention. It gained a lot more coverage in the press. And because of that, there were a lot more people who were taking in all the sad parts of it, and they were upset and they knew about it, but then it influenced a lot more other people. And because it influenced so many people, when you take a look at all these people who are committing these mass attacks and atrocities in schools and in other places all throughout the world, because the Columbine effect isn't just to the United States, it's literally global. It is worldwide. You're finding that people specifically followed what the assailants did. Columbine was huge because it was 2 people who carried out an attack instead of 1. That was very uncommon. Still, it's pretty uncommon when it comes to school violence. Yet all these mistruths that were put out and that no one really bothered to correct it. That's why I'm still clearing up things about Columbine to this day, 26 years later. Because people are believing the stuff that was initially put out. And because it had such that global reach towards a lot of people, not just for the sadness, but for the impact, we are still seeing people who are fascinated by the assailants, fascinated by the attacks, and who are quoting the assailants, quoting the Columbine attacks, and talking about their love for them or them being inspired by them in their manifestos, in their final writings. You can see it in their social media, in their messaging history when the investigators log into their computer and see all the stuff they've been doing online. It's nuts. That's what makes Columbine different, is that people have attached on to this because of that 24/7 news cycle that initially was going on for the first time. And it was the first time we saw that with any attack in a school when it happened on April 20th, 1999.